Conferences to smile for the cameras, sign a contract, shake their opponent's hands, and say nothing more than may the best man win.
Oh, wait a second, boys. Where do we get paid for this?
But since the arrival of Muhammad Ali, pre-fight news conferences have never been the same.
Come on, girl. We in Manila. Come on, gorilla. This is a thriller. It's going to be a force.
From ridiculous to sublime, today's news conferences serve an array of purposes. For the promoter, a creative means of generating interest in a fight. For the fighter, a tactical opportunity to intimidate the opponent.
You set it out there and you're gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? We on like popcorn. But you're gonna get it.
5 days ago, a news conference was held for the heavyweight fight between Riddick Bowe and Larry Donald. And this form of pre-fight combat reached a new extreme. No one will be holding them back tonight. Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. HBO Sports presents the heavyweight battle between former heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe and the undefeated and highly regarded Larry Donald on World Championship Boxing tonight. It is scheduled for 12 rounds. The small arena in back of Caesar's Palace, but after the hubbub of this week, perhaps this could have been moved to the larger seating arena outdoors because the blackout has been lifted in Las Vegas. A near sellout here tonight, many on hand to see what will happen in the wake of the press conference confrontation. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We suspect that there are many, many among you tonight who would not be watching with us were it not be the events of this past Monday. Riddick Bowe's sudden and shocking attack on Larry Donald at a news conference in Los Angeles to publicize this fight. The left, the right, two shots heard around the boxing world, and they are causing repercussions still. Working with me, as always, HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Larry, Riddick Bowe's attack on Larry Donald was, from a physical standpoint, unprovoked. Why did Bowe do it, and how will it affect him in the ring tonight?
Jim, first I have to say that although they landed on the head, those were the lowest blows by far I have ever seen in boxing. And that's the best thing I have to say about them. Why did he do it? Riddick Bowe has been depressed since he lost the title. He's frustrated that his road back to the title has been blocked. And then he's confronted by a lippy newcomer who won't get out of his face, and bang, spontaneous combustion, which doesn't excuse it at all. So now the question is, as you ask, what effect will it have on him? All I know for sure is that it took 10 years for George Foreman to go from Mr. Nasty to Mr. Great Guy. And it's taken 3 months for Riddick Bowe to take the reverse trip ever since he knocked down Buster Mathis Jr. and then punched him afterward. Will it affect him in the long run? Maybe, if the fans turn on him. And many reporters expect the fans to turn on him tonight.
Well, some of those reporters have certainly turned on him. Bowe was curious as to what effect his outburst might have produced. He need look no farther than the New York Post, a newspaper in his own hometown, which suggests that his behavior is that of a low-life punk, that even the boys in the hood in his home neighborhood of Brownsville would treat him with disrespect as a result, that his behavior, his bad behavior, is being masterminded by his manager, Rock Newman. It's a privilege for us to have back with us tonight the heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman. George, as a boxer, as a professional boxer, what's your opinion of what happened last Monday?
Well, there's always been an invisible line that you never should cross. Riddick Bowe crossed over this time. You don't allow pit bulldogs anywhere, nor do you allow renegade boxers. They can really hurt someone. Riddick Bowe has done something unheard of. We would never do that in this sport. It should never be tolerated, and it should never happen again.
Now, much is being made of the fact that Larry Donald didn't punch back, and there are some people who think that gives Bowe a psychological advantage. There are some people who think that Donald may have gained something psychologically. Who do you think benefited, if anyone, coming into the ring?
If someone does this to you, another boxer do that to you, what can you do but nothing? If you hit him back, if you retaliate, you become what he's already become. Bad person that should not be called a professional boxer. There's no psychological advantage to anyone. Riddick Bowe, he should suffer, and I don't mean physically for this, but he should be remembered that it's not winning or losing, but how you play the game. He's been a bad game player this time.
So you're complimenting Larry Donald for his absence of response.
Whether he wins, lose, or draw tonight, this man will be a champion because he did nothing but back away, which is what a professional fighter should do. Never hit a civilian or in a civilian position.
All right, George, it'll be interesting to see if Larry Donald can solidify the public relations advantage he's gained by winning the fight as well. But it's a tough assignment. Riddick Bowe trying to again become the fighter he was when he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Evander Holyfield back in November of 1992. He's undergone many transformations since then. In the ring, there are two experiences which stand apart from all others: winning the heavyweight championship of the world and losing it. Riddick Bowe encountered both in 12 months. Since his loss to Evander Holyfield, he's learned some hard lessons.
You know, when you're on top, some people have the tendency to take things for granted. And perhaps for the second Holyfield fight, I didn't train like I should have, or I didn't give myself the best opportunity by going to training camp perhaps 3 months in advance of the fight. And so I wasn't in the best shape. But it was a costly experience, but a learning experience.
As champion, Bowe was on everyone's A-list. Endorsements and appearances were abundant. No more. Limited exposure is a consequence of losing.
You don't realize how important those things are to you until they're gone.
The last year was a transition period. He had to become adjusted to not being the champion, which took a bit of doing.
Well, I think people recognize me, you know, wherever I go, but they don't recognize me as the heavyweight champion of the world. It's always former. And I don't like that word former, especially when it's, you know, with my name, Riddick Bowe, the former heavyweight champion of the world.
He began to come around, and right now he, I think, has become so well adjusted that he has regained his focus, the focus that he had on his way up to the title.
A title shot in the foreseeable future is unlikely. With George Foreman and Oliver McCall on top, Bowe ranks well below the next contenders.
I think it's very unfortunate, you know, that the organizations would rate me where they had me. I fought a hard fight against Evander Holyfield. Unfortunately, I didn't get the decision. But I don't think that the fight was so bad where me being champion, I had to be rated number 5, number 7, or even in some organizations not rated at all.
After 9 months out of the ring, Bowe faced Buster Mathis Jr. In the 4th round, he was nearly disqualified for a right uppercut with Mathis down on one knee. It ended in a controversial no contest.
I felt like that was my first professional fight. I was a bit nervous. I was extremely anxious, and I wanted to give a good performance. And I think perhaps maybe that's why when he knelt down to one knee, I was so into it, I didn't realize he was on one knee.
Fitness expert Mackie Shilstone helps Bowe to improve as an athlete. They went their separate ways after Holyfield won, but later Shilstone was called back.
At one point, we felt like we could fight guys that, you know, we really didn't need Mackie for. And so that was a big misunderstanding also. But again, to make a long story short, we realized that, you know, Mackie was the best conditioning guy out there, and that we should also incorporate him back into our training program. And so I had Rock to give him a call, and he's back.
The most I've ever seen him at is 272. The most I've ever seen him at body fat percentages was roughly 19%. Now, a comparison, the average guy walking on the street, average now, shouldn't be any more than 16%. My job is to try and help with him in education. When I first saw him out of the Olympics, he was 12% body fat as a kid in 1988. This man's 27 years of age right now. He's 12.2.
His mission now is to send those who came out of the woodwork back into the woodwork. As many people in the world today know that he's the best. He's got to prove it to everyone by standing at the top again.
My perfect day would be to reproduce what I did in the first Evander Holyfield fight, becoming a heavyweight champion of the world. That's the only thing I think about. That's the only thing I want.
Riddick Bowe's only been in the ring once since having lost the heavyweight championship more than a year ago. Tonight, the second examination against unbeaten heavyweight Larry Donald. It's scheduled for 12 rounds, and it's coming up in a matter of minutes right here on HBO. Larry Merchant, let's go back to the confrontation at the news conference this past Monday. What does it tell us about Larry Donald that he didn't fight back against Riddick Bowe, and what might it mean to him in the ring tonight?
Well, either he doesn't like to fight very much, or he has a Zen master's temperament, the perfect temperament for the pure boxer that he is. Either he's intimidated, saying, whoa, they play rough in this league, or he's inspired, saying, that sucker punched me with bare fists, and I'm still here. The fight should be easy. The bigger question is whether he should be here at all. He's been a professional for just 2 years, and he's facing the heavyweight many people regard as the best out there, at least when he's in top shape. He's come along very nicely in these 2 years, but his management is putting him into a risky situation. They're taking a high-stakes gamble with his future. But more importantly, I wonder whether they have sufficiently protected him this week, both in the wake of that incident at the press conference and in allowing Rock Newman, Bowe's manager and promoter, to put an 18-foot ring, the smallest ring I've ever seen heavyweights fight at, for tonight. That, in my judgment, is to Bowe's great advantage, to Donald's great disadvantage. Jim, if I were managing this fighter, you and I might be across the street at the rodeo, because I would either pull him out of the fight or I would get concessions on the threat that I would.
The last straw being the size of the ring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as if this bout needed any other attendant controversy. Larry Donald's camp was livid to arrive here within the past few days and learn that the chief promoter, Bowe's manager, Rock Newman, had laid down an 18-foot ring, 2 feet smaller on each side than the normal 20-foot ring, regarded as being a big advantage for Bowe. This morning, the Nevada State Athletic Commission said it had no choice but to sanction that ring. So Bowe gets that perceived advantage going in tonight. Champ, you tell me that you sparred with Larry Donald a few years ago. What kind of a fighter do you remember him to be, and will that small ring bother him any?
Well, I tried to chase him with a left jab, and when he got through with me, I went home thinking maybe I should quit boxing. But then the next day I decided maybe I shouldn't chase him. I'll tease him and make him come to me. And when I did, Donald was not quite the fighter. If he's able to draw Riddick Bowe to him, he can easily win this fight if he continues to do it. But if he follows Riddick Bowe, then Riddick Bowe can win this fight easily.
So Bowe may have to do something uncharacteristic for him if Donald is able to follow his fight plan.
Donald should make Riddick Bowe come to him.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens as the fight progresses. Meanwhile, we'll get our first look at unbeaten former American Olympian Larry Donald. He got a late start in boxing. He was 19 years old. He's done as much as he can in the intervening years to make up for that late start. What's happening to the heavyweights? Did you ever believe Lennox Lewis would lose to Oliver McCall? And who would have thought that ancient George Foreman could take out Michael Moore? Perhaps this trend will continue with Larry Donald and his insatiable will to win.
What do I see in Larry as a fighter? I see a very good athlete, a whole bunch of potential. It's just a matter of time before the greatness come out of Larry Donald. He has probably more talent than anyone in the heavyweight division since the days of Muhammad Ali.
Time will tell. But Larry does have one thing in common with Ali.
He's going around claiming to be the real heavyweight champ. But after I'm finished, he'll just be a tramp. Now, I'm not saying this just to be funny, but I'm fighting Ernie because he needs the money.
power of beginner's poetry.
These are the words from Larry Donald, fast spoken but never joking. Hands are fast, feet are quick. There's not a man alive that I can't trick. Riddick Bowe had his day, so now it's time for me to put him away.
Larry Donald's career began in Cincinnati. He's been fighting only 7 years, but has come a long way since the days of shadowboxing in his own basement.
My very first fight at the Ohio State Fair. I went 3 rounds, but I was tired, very tired. I was so tired I was sick after the fight, and I said to myself, if I ever fight again, I'll be in the best shape of my life.
Donald's amateur career exceeded his dreams. He became world amateur heavyweight champion in 1992 and felt destined to repeat the triumph of his hero Ali by bringing home an Olympic gold medal. That dream would never come true.
I felt as though if I couldn't bring back the gold, I didn't want to bring back anything. So that's what happened as far as the Olympics is concerned.
Dealing with the defeat in Barcelona was a minor challenge. A few months later, Larry received the most devastating blow of his life. His little sister Trina, murdered on Thanksgiving Day.
Here's a picture of my sister when she was in high school. Her name is Trina Donald. Some people say we look like twins. This is a shirt of my sister Trina Donald. As you can see, a touch of class. I had this put on here because, you know, I'm always thinking about her, and I want her close to me. My little sister, she always wanted to see me become the world heavyweight champion, and she told me no matter what happened, I will always be her champion. So it just made me a stronger person and made me pursue my boxing career a lot serious.
Larry's mental toughness and passion for winning are demonstrated by his undefeated record. His trainer, Janks Morton, says he's seen it all before.
Keep him busy. Get a jab going.
There's a whole lot of similarity there with Larry and Ray, the hard training. Ray, I have seen Ray Leonard train to almost where he almost fall out in the gym. Larry's the same way. And so when you get an athlete like that and he's putting out like that, there's no way he can miss being champion of the world.
If it seems as though Larry Donald eats, sleeps, and drinks boxing, he does. Even his sketches are within the boundary of the ring. And with his goals in sight, Larry has learned the value of self-discipline.
I think the key is you have to want to do it. Anybody that want to be the best in what they do, they have to want to get up and sacrifice and put their time in to become a great champion.
We bring back live to ringside in the inside arena in back of Caesar's Palace, and you look at the tail of the tape. If you follow the sport only casually, you might be stunned to note that Larry Donald is the older of the two fighters by a margin of months over the former heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe. Bowe's weight, 241, lowest for him entering the ring since he beat Holyfield to win the heavyweight championship back in 1992. Larry?
Apparently he trained hard and beat that newly discovered fat gene we've heard so much about.
Fun stat numbers.
Here's an idea of how active these fighters normally are, but Donald his numbers will vary depending on how Bowe fights. Both fighters throw many jabs for big men. And now the key punch stat numbers. The press conference, 2 punches thrown by Bowe, 2 punches landed, 100%, but keep in mind that Donald may counter with a lawsuit either in the ring or after the fight tonight.
Yeah, process servers will be looking for Bowe sometime tonight to serve him civil papers from the state of California. And we go to our unofficial ringside score for the rules of the boxing match. Harold Letterman.
Riddick Bowe and Larry Donald will box tonight using the rules of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. 12 rounds, non-title. There is no standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect. You can be saved by the belt in the last round only, and only the referee can stop the fight. Jim.
All right, Harold, one of several tugs of war to have taken place over the course of the past few days here. A discussion over which fighter should have to enter the ring first. And it is going to be Larry Donald who will come in first. Larry Donald in what is by far the biggest showcase of his career so far. Typecast as a boxer, but in the key bout in getting in here, a 12-round decision over Jeremy Williams, another young prospect. He outpunched a guy who was seen by many as an exceptionally heavy puncher.
Not many people thought that he would be a good professional when he was an amateur. He seemed to have an amateur style. But he also is one of those kids who has some spirit, some dream, and has worked hard to make himself better.
Trained, as you already know, by Janks Morton, who was the longtime trainer of Sugar Ray Leonard during Leonard's heyday.
Morton is the bravest trainer around. He says that he doesn't care if they fight in a post office box.
Larry Donald has had 16 professional fights, won them all, 12 by knockout, and the key victory, a 12-round decision over Jeremy Williams. As an amateur, he was 55-6. Lost a quarterfinal bout to Roberto Bellato at the 1992 Summer Olympics in Barcelona. Bellato went on to win the gold medal. And now as Donald dances in the ring. Nice robe, George.
Well, I would love to have one of those.
Maybe
But
we'll
then
give
I
you
would
one.
be embarrassed to come out in it.
Well, you could wear it in your bedroom. A robe befitting a heavyweight king. And you listen to the music which will accompany Riddick Bowe into the ring. You see the 4 rounds he's put on the docket since having lost the WBA and IBF heavyweight titles to Evander Holyfield. Those 4 rounds, August 13 in Atlantic City against Buster Mathis Jr. in the bout that ended in a no contest.
Here's a more interesting graphic from me, Jim. 3 heavyweight champions from Brooklyn have gone absolutely bonkers after they lost their titles. Floyd Patterson put on a disguise when he lost to Sonny Liston. Mike Tyson is in prison on a rape conviction, and we've already seen what Riddick Bowe did this week.
Don't blame this on Brooklyn, believe me.
Well, but at least on the surface evidence, George, we have to suspect that Houston is a better place to hang out after you've lost a heavyweight championship.
Yeah, but if you're going to have some fun, go to Brooklyn. I love Houston.
Ring is getting crowded. There's an honor guard in there getting ready to accompany Reba McEntire as she sings the national anthem. You look at Riddick Bowe's record, 34 wins, 29 by knockout. The only loss, the very close decision to Holyfield more than a year ago here in Las Vegas. And Bowe complains about his rankings in the extremely political sport of boxing. Politics conspire against him now in his search for another heavyweight title shot. He's ranked 5th by the IBF, 8th by the WBA. And in the eyes of the World Boxing Council, Riddick Bowe is not one of the world's top 30 heavyweights.
All 3 boxing bodies should be ashamed of themselves if they had any shame. What's happened is they've been corrupted by Don King. 2 Don King fighters, Tony Tucker, who used to be a good fighter, and Bruce Seldon, who was knocked out in 1 round by Riddick Bowe, are ranked 1 and 2 by the boxing organizations.
I must say there was a lot of wrong things going before Don King came on the scene.
So it isn't entirely...
No.
Not with the rankings, George. I disagree.
All right now we'll talk about that later, but let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffett for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Caesar's Palace of Las Vegas, Nevada, where the world's greatest entertainers perform. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Spencer Promotions, along with Top Rank Incorporated and Forum Boxing in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, proud to be your Bud, present professional boxing for your entertainment. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chairman, Dr. James Nave. Commissioners, Nat Carasali, Dr. Elias Ghanem, Luther Mack, and Crispin Rivera. Executive Director, Mark Ratner. Physicians at ringside, Dr. Flip Pomansky and Dr. Robert Boye. The timekeeper is Jane Broadfoot. Counting for the knockdown seconds, Mike Lachella. The 3 judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system will be Bill Graham, Art Lurie, and Dalby Shirley. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Mills Lane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the site where legends are made, Caesar's Palace of Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white, trimmed with his children's names and weighing 241 pounds. He brings a professional record of 34 victories against only 1 defeat, and 29 of these victories are by knockouts. From Brooklyn, New York, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the former heavyweight champion of the world, Riddick Big Daddy Bowe. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white trimmed with black and weighing 228 pounds. His professional record, a perfect 16-0 with 12 knockouts to his credit. And he is ranked number 5 in the world by the World Boxing Council. Ladies and gentlemen, from Cincinnati, Ohio, introducing the undefeated Larry the Legend Donald.
All right, we've already been through the instruction in the dressing room. Now look, Jenks, if he goes right here, I'm going to call it all right. Right there is going to be fine. Fair enough? Right here is going to be all right. Now, protect yourself at all times. I expect a tough, clean fight. Any questions from Larry Donald's corner? Any questions from Riddick Bowe's corner? Let's get it on.
The crowd has had its say about Riddick Bowe. This is his chance to respond.
And as you look at Larry Donald, his admirers say, George, he has the best legs in the heavyweight division. In your earlier discussion of boxing strategy, you seem to be saying that he should use those legs to stay away from Bowe and make Bowe chase him.
That's right. Make the big man come. And then only then should you throw a powerful right hand, because with that heavyweight coming forward, you knock him down. But you go forward after him, it doesn't hurt. Because Donald is not a puncher.
Momentarily, you see the vague similarity between Donald's style and that of Muhammad Ali as he bounces on his toes and circles to his left. Bowe just looking and checking it out for the time being.
It looks as though Bowe can take one step and he's almost at the ropes, George.
Which is great. When you're moving around, you don't need a whole lot of room to move.
By dropping his hands twice, Bowe signals his opinion of what Donald is doing. So Donald sets for a moment with his fists up and then dances some more. There's the jab as he moves left at the same time, reminiscent of Ali. Well, he floats like a butterfly, at least in a manner of speaking. Let's find out if he stings like a bee.
Yeah, to his disadvantage, we got a 12th rounder here. Donald has never had a reason to go 12 rounds. Bowe knows a bit about conserving his energy.
Donald did go 12 rounds against Jeremy Williams. That's a far cry from doing it twice against Evander Holyfield.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yes.
See?
Far cry from doing it twice against Evander Holyfield, George, so your point is well taken.
But you say to yourself, let the crowd boo me this time. Bowe punched me in a press conference. Let him come and punch me now.
Well, there was more action at the press conference, George.
No, he had his hands down behind his back at the press conference.
Yeah, I know.
Donald did. Donald.
Larry Donald misses with a hard right hand. First time he set his feet and thrown a combination. Bowe goes with a right hand lead and then comes with a wild swinging right hand lead. Bowe checking to see if he might be able to get Donald to brawl with him a little bit in this last minute of round one.
Everything overhand. You're going to have to throw a straight one right down the pipe to stop a guy from moving like that. And you lose a lot of your road work because you're going over heads. You don't practice punches like that in training. Bowe is not an aggressor. Real clumsy going forward. So is Donald, by the way.
Now, George, you said that you thought of giving up boxing after trying to chase Donald with the jab. Is that because of his counterpunching skills and quickness or because of his defense?
He has it all, but he's got everything together when you're coming after him. It's after. You make him come forward, he's like Riddick Bowe is now. They don't know exactly what to do. They need combinations to knock you down with.
Kind of a weird round one to try to score as Donald danced and Bowe watched for the most part.
Okay, once the jab is up and down a little bit more. Okay. Put it up and down. Leave me on lead right hand. Give me the lead right hand. Your lead right hand, then come out with the left hook, okay? Give me the lead. No, you're faster. Okay, let me talk to him straight. You just put yours on. Yeah. Okay. Fire away. You got your fire away. Don't give him around. Okay? You did all right.
What was the plan? Keep the pressure on. Yeah. He'll have to go down eventually. Just make him keep running. Whenever he tries to jab, come right back with your jab. No, sir. Okay. All right. All right.
Use the bucket if you can, drink, okay? Too much water there. Some water here. Some water up here.
Fascinating to hear Eddie Futch tell Bowe, make him keep running. Not sure Bowe had anything to do with it.
But you tell yourself, you got punch stats here and there. And judges are watching punch landed. You chase a man for 12 rounds, you lose. Even though your one is more powerful than his three.
Donald wants to outland Bowe, though he's going to have to throw some. Hasn't committed himself to doing that yet.
Well, you stretch the big guy out who's throwing the power. You get the rounds out. You get him out about 4 or 5 rounds, then you stand still a bit.
Bowe landing the jab. He landed 8 out of 18 jabs by punch stat numbers in round 1. Donald was 2 for 15.
That's great. When Donald see him coming forward, he holds on, which is perfectly legal.
Those occasions when Bert Cooper was seemingly on the verge of getting Donald in trouble a few months ago, Donald did an effective job of holding and tying up Cooper to get out of dangers. Wide swinging right again by Bowe. Riddick starts to smile in there.
Believe me, when you throw those kind of punches as a heavyweight, it takes a lot of your energy. You lose control of your fist, and before you know it, you turn to be wild as the fight goes on.
Bringing up the subject of conditioning, which has been Bowe's weakness at times in the past, I got to say, coming in here tonight, George, he looks better to me than he's ever looked.
He actually looks good this time. He doesn't need a pat trunk to cover his stomach. He looks fine. But look who's saying, who's talking.
A guy with a championship belt or two. That's who's talking.
No, I mean a guy.
Yeah, I know. They got to be big belts. I understand that.
That Bowe is kind of red around his nose already.
Come on here, come on.
Right hand lead. Donald providing what trainer Janks Morton asked for between rounds. Now here's Bowe with that wide swinging right again. He lands a heavy right hand to the body and another. Bowe remembering to go to the body inside, and then he tries for the right hand one more time.
Now you would think that Donald would stay to his right and make him just throw as many of those right hands as he possibly can.
Now Bowe half connects with one of those right hands.
And it hurt.
Donald was standing still in the corner. Riddick Bowe's aggression paying off a little bit in the last minute of round 2.
Okay. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep after this guy and make him
Make him move into that big right hook once in a while.
Give him the bucket to spit in, okay? Riddick, spit in the bucket, okay, big guy? You get too much blood on the bucket. Have him spit in the bucket, okay? That's right. Let him spit again.
Me?
Okay.
Close your eyes.
Give some grease first, look.
I got the right here. Right here, man.
Like this. I feel great. Okay. Turn on the speed with your jab on your feet. Jab first. Let me see the speed. Let me see the speed.
Close your eyes a minute and listen to him.
You'll be fine. You're doing good. You're doing good. Stay right there.
I thought there were three things that could happen to Larry Donald in this fight. He could win, he could look good losing, or he could get blown out. Right now, none of those things are happening.
Yes, a fourth possibility has arisen.
Now, if I'm Donald's trainer, I'll tell him, now stop moving, confuse him a bit, stand in front of him for a while to make him think, oh, I can settle down. And as soon as he settles down, you start moving again. Use some deception.
Donald throws a left and a right, and continues to back away.
In your comeback, George, have you faced anyone like Donald?
Right. But I had to kind of back away sometime, and then I decided I'm going to have to become an aggressive fighter. And you do that by, you don't put one foot in front of the other. You keep both feet together, and you march. You come on like waves, and you keep waving and waving and waving. Which means you can't prefer one punch over another.
Swinging over the top with the right hand. Watching what Donald has done or not done, if you prefer, so far, you see the reason why his camp might have preferred a 20-foot ring rather than this 18-foot 2-inch number.
Now, Riddick Bowe is starting to stick that big, long left jab into Donald's stomach. Believe me, that can change things quick.
He's also starting to bring some right hand to the ribcage.
Donald has to understand that every round he has to invest in a few body punches himself to make that leg movement work.
If a guy tries to run against you, George, do you think first you'll go into the body?
Right, you got to put something in the body so the legs will not obey him. He say keeps moving, but his legs are saying, I can't. Now Donald is doing what he shouldn't do. Bowe is effective when he's on those ropes. You don't want to give him that. Make him think, hey, I got to reach out.
Uppercut in close, maybe Bowe's best punch. He landed two with the right hand there.
Bowe can only do uppercuts when he's close to you. Which is what devastated Evander Holyfield in the first fight, the short uppercuts.
Yep, that's what put Holyfield on Queer Street in the 10th round. Bowe landing that right hand shot. Now there's blood on the nose of Larry Donald.
Donald should never stop.
Yep, he shouldn't have stood still, right? Bowe coming forward with more of a purpose now. Donald is getting easier to find.
16 fights, you just don't have enough experience to weather storm. You think, oh, the world is coming to an end. But when you've had a lot of fights, you just wait, oh, that's just this round.
Come on, wake up!
Bowe is better understand that Donald has been beat up like this a few times in his life because he's not punching.
So far, Larry Donald doesn't look ready for prime time.
You got to stop holding him. Come on. Give me that wet flag over there. That wet spine. Come on, Bush. You want it? Up top, up top, up top. Nose. Get the nose, get the nose. Get the nose first. Leave the rest alone. Get the nose. You got Larry. You're hesitating. You're waiting for him to get off first. We're going to have a control this thing. You're going to control it. Okay. Pick up your pace and control it. Okay? How you feel?
Oh, great.
Okay, now you pick it up. Don't let him come in on you like that. You got to change position quicker, son.
Okay.
Change him position on him. He can't keep up with you if you change that. Hold them legs way fast enough. Now pick it up.
Keep that pressure on him. He's ready to quit already.
Yeah, I know.
Don't get careless.
If you haven't seen any replays, there haven't been anything worth showing you.
Honesty is our policy. Round 4 begins. It's scheduled for 12. While you're ticking off the disadvantages for Donald tonight, there is one more. 10-ounce gloves as opposed to 12-ounce gloves.
should favor the heavier puncher. Bowe, and he landed another solid right hand inside there. Donald backs up. And there's a right hand to the side of the head.
And that's the way you make a guy come to you. You hit him with a hard shot and then move. Then he tries to pay you back and he burns himself out also.
Donald breathing through his mouth. He's got his mouth wide open. You suspect that maybe he's having trouble breathing through the nose after the blood started to flow in round 3. Bowe uppercuts with the left hand as well as the right.
Now Donald moves the left jab till he does it twice. You can do good like that. A boxer should never be dependent upon power. Let the puncher do that. You box. With the small ring, Donald moves twice and his back is at the rope. Bowe is able to stop and hit him back. With a bigger ring, he can move twice and be out of the way.
Now Larry Donald stands his ground and throws his best combination of the fight. And Riddick Bowe comes forward with that sweeping roundhouse right. Why doesn't he throw a straight right hand?
You know, he is not the best finished fighter. He's got a good power, and he has in his repertoire a good straight right hand. He just has to finish himself up enough to do that.
His left hook is by far his best punch, I believe. His right hand has always been iffy. Sometimes it does, more often it doesn't. It's the left and the left hook, the left jab and hook.
Better punch has always been below the belt.
There's a right hand that did some damage. Larry Donald. It's a little counter punch action going there.
Now Donald has to understand when you land a few punches, get backwards, don't go forward. Make him follow you those extra steps to the next corner.
Come on, work on it. Work on it. Come on.
Those last 2 times, Bowe straightened up the right cross just a little bit. Donald tries the right hand lead, but weakly and lamely over the top.
2 hands, come on. Come on, work on it. Come on.
Whenever a fighter gets into the ring, you count your steps over and over.
Come on, work on it.
How many steps backwards before my back is to the corner, to the ring,
All right, let's
to the
go.
rope?
Come on.
Then you hit and take those steps over and over and let him walk to you.
How many fighters do you think remember to do that, George?
We have signs that haven't been, no one teaches it much in the
I want you to step back a little bit and throw your punches up, Bowe.
Okay.
First round, first part of the round, right?
Yeah.
Give me a half of it. Give me a half a round of speed.
Okay.
Pick up his speed and then get away. Get your legs going.
All right, let's take a look at Bowe as he lands a couple of punches in there. That was not a real crisp punch, but it did land it. That's the best stuff from Donald so far, which says too much about him. Later in the round, Bowe came back with a good chopping right hand.
I got it. Mouthpiece, I got it. Give me a speed, take over. Come on.
Round 5 begins.
Harold Letterman, quickly, your score so far.
Larry, 4-0, 40-36, Riddick Bowe. From the day that you become a boxing judge, that's the first question they ask. If the guy's landing 50 jabs or a guy's landing 2 hooks, who wins the round? And the answer is the guy that wins the round is the guy that's doing more damage. And in this fight, in each and every round, Riddick Bowe has done more damage than Larry Donald.
I scored the first round even, the last 3 for Bowe.
That was a good right hand by Donald. Good right hand.
And he brought a left hand behind it, but he's done nothing to dissuade Riddick.
Good left jab by Donald.
Forward, yep. Landed the left jab right on the kisser, didn't he?
He's got to understand, land those punches and take 5 steps backwards in any direction.
Well, you said he could do some damage if he could make Bowe come to him. He certainly isn't going to Bowe.
Bowe fouls over the rope when he has to go forward. Bowe has got to understand to beat this young man to the punch. You just can't wait on him. Go before he goes.
So Donald should keep backing up, counter, and step away when he reaches the rope.
And Bowe should beat him to the punch. Don't wait on him. You give him more confidence. The next thing you know, you're out there in the 6th round, and this kid is jabbing you a little more.
Donald still with his mouth wide open. There's a quick combo inside by Donald. Part of the crowd starting to chant, Larry, Larry, Larry.
Good right hand, the bounce of the knife.
And another solid right hand by Donald, 2 in a row.
Now he should step backwards. See, Bowe is hurt, but don't try to finish him. Don't try to finish him.
Why not, George? Because he may not get another chance.
He's making him come forward and connect, and he's just not going to him getting these things out. It's when both come forward. And Bowe should not wait. Wait to be hit.
Bowe seems to have lost a little bit of his fire in this round.
When Bowe steps forward, he waits for his right foot to catch up with the left, so you get that timing. He's not going to do anything until his right foot catches up with his left foot. Donald should pay attention to these kind of things.
Donald supporters in the crowd cheering as Bowe clumsily flailed across into the ropes.
Riddick Bowe's timing is not going to get any better. He should stay closer to Donald, keep this jab into his stomach and chest.
The Larry Donald his supporters might have hoped to see shows up in the latter half of round 5.
And after that round, Riddick Bowe looked at him as if to say, where did that come from? Stand around. I want you to keep jabbing. When you beat this man, you step in, the jab is always there. Keep making it, keep moving in, and keep jabbing. Don't stop. Don't stop. When you stop, you get the jab. This is the round of young Larry Donald's life, and maybe at that point, the punch of his life, because it changed the course of that round. Suddenly, Riddick Bowe had a little bit more respect for him. That was a primetime round, George.
It was, and Donald came out with a left hook, a left jab to the body. That's strange. He's got courageous.
Suddenly in round 5, by punch stat numbers, Larry Donald landed 18 of 31 punches, many of them power punches. Bowe for signs of fatigue. Remember, George, he's only been in the ring for a real fight 4 rounds in the past 13 months.
He's only fought 2 quality opponents. That was Evander Holyfield twice. This kid is quality. Not as strong because he hasn't had a whole lot of experience, but he is quality.
A terrific combination, finished with a good right hand, and then he did what you said, George. He got out of there or held on.
Bowe is still trying to wait until his right foot catch up to throw a punch.
Suddenly Donald looks so much more confident in there, so much more aware of what's going on.
Good body punch by Riddick Bowe. That right to the body hurt.
Bowe steps back and casts a confident gaze at Donald with a big smile on his face. And I'm not sure Bowe hasn't forgotten completely about the prospect of winning the fight by decision, George. He seems to be simply walking around here thinking of setting up Donald for a knockout, and that may allow Donald to turn the fight around.
What I got to do is to be comfortable. I'm going to get him sooner or later. He's too young. He's not strong. Before you do it,
that's what's happening, right?
And then you say to yourself, like the old Muhammad Ali's days, that didn't hurt.
Hit on the brake. Come on.
Because it doesn't, but it takes its toll. now Donald has gotten smart. He turns his left shoulder forward when Bowe throws his overhand right. Out of the way, he's in safety zone. Only if Bowe comes back with a left hook or fake the right hand and throw a left hook can he get him.
That chant, Larry, 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 resurrected from 1978 and 79 when Larry Holmes in this ring, in this arena, got his split decision against Ken Norton. What a great fight that was. And his 11th round knockout of Ernie Shavers. Larry Donald, like Larry Holmes, here to rely on his jab. And now Riddick Bowe begins to play into Larry Donald's hands.
Too big. Okay. Go that right hand to the body and come back with the left hook there. And you got to jab more. When you get within reach of this guy, jab. Keep jabbing, make it work.
Here's the combination that may have won the round for Larry Donald. Another angle. The left hand followed by 2 punches to the body. Bowe doesn't know what to make of this kid at this moment.
Don't let him rest.
I told you this Donald made me feel the same way.
But as round 7 begins, a Larry Donald earlier described by Larry Merchant, and I thought accurately so at the time, as not ready for prime time, is clearly in the fight and beginning to turn the tide into strategic battle against Riddick Bowe.
Donald is starting to jab to Riddick Bowe's body. Bowe should never allow him to touch his body. Then that big right hand that he's been saving up all night will have no pop, no punching it when it happens. No power. Good jab by Riddick Bowe.
That's what Bowe ought to do, isn't it, George? He should go back to the jab and begin taking over the fight tactically again.
Almost too late to change Bowe to the middle of the screen, although he's doing it well. The jab is Bowe's weapon. If he continues to use it, he can get
There's how Donald counters when Bowe comes too far forward. You saw the former champion lunge, and you saw Larry counter perfectly up underneath.
Good jab again by Riddick Bowe.
This is with the right hand.
Now Donald wants Bowe jabbing, but jabbing forward, so he's going off balance, waiting until his right foot catch up with the left. You don't want him jabbing standing still. Well, he's standing still, Donald.
Come on, work out, you guys, work out. Come on, work out, punch out. Work out. All right, let him go, come on. Come on, let him go. Come on, you guys, come on.
Unfamiliar territory with a puncher in the late rounds like this.
Let him on, come on.
Both fighters seeming to sort of search for an answer, try to find their way through this 7th round. But by a narrow margin, you get the impression, really, that Donald is a little bit more in command of his game than is Bowe right at this moment.
Donald's a little overconfident. He's standing and waiting and watching, and this could happen to him. Boom, a right hand.
Work out, 2-handed. Work on it.
But that brings up a debate, George. Do you think of Bowe as a big puncher?
Bowe is a big puncher, but he has to have 2 or 3 together. He can't do it with one. Why even think like that? He stuns you and then comes back with the hook. And when you throw that right hand, you got to think hook.
Now it's Donald who turns Bowe into the ropes and lands a couple of body shots.
But he still has to back away once he finishes doing what he's going to do.
Time! Ho, 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 ho.
Okay.
taking too long. You got to get in a better place. You got to throw more punches. The punch count is lower up there. You got to get the punch count up.
Okay.
He's supposed to be tired. Let him be tired. Pick up your pace. Pick up your pace. Come on, man. Pick up your pace. This is number 8. You ain't throwing enough.
Letterman, 7 rounds, your score.
Larry, I think Larry Donald's closing the fight up. I mean, making it a lot closer. I got it 4-3, 67-66, Riddick Bowe, but I gave rounds 5, 6, and 7 to Larry Donald because I thought that he used that movement to set up his shots and get in some real nice hard punches. I mean, he's moving beautifully. He's stopping, changing direction, and landing some good shots, out-punching Riddick Bowe, who's missing.
I have the score 4-2-1 for Bowe.
So the fight appears to be narrowing somewhat in margin as we go into the 8th round. The 7th, another tough round to score. Interesting that our Harold Letterman gave it to Donald by punch stat numbers. He only threw 18 punches in the round. Riddick Bowe threw 34. But Donald did connect at a higher percentage.
Bowe is so effective when he decides to use his left jab.
Only twice in his previous 16 fights as a professional has Larry Donald gone past the 7th round. Bowe, as you know, no stranger to 12-round trips. He did it twice against Evander Holyfield.
Punches up, come on.
Donald takes a rest by holding, which is wise.
Then he gets back up on his toes and bounces.
Whenever Bowe wants, he just reach down to Donald's body with a left jab. This should not happen to a boxer.
But he does it one punch at a time, George. I mean, Riddick Bowe has been reduced to throwing one punch at a time by Larry Donald's legs and occasionally by his hands.
Donald, to beat an internationally known fighter like this, you got to throw a few more punches, even if you're going backwards.
Mills Lane looks like an elf walking among redwoods when he breaks these two guys up. Look at him.
He's a giant, almost 6'4", 6'5".
Donald backs into the corner, but then throws a combination and pushes Bowe across the ring, and Donald gets another rest as Bowe cuts into the back of the head twice.
Hey, time. Quick, grab it. Let's go, come on.
Doesn't matter what the referee say, it's what you do. You keep grabbing.
Let's clean.
Bowe is the one holding. The referee can't see that.
I think Bowe shows some arm weariness too, George, despite the relatively low punch output.
He's so dependent at this time to get a knockout that he hasn't thought about putting together a combination.
Arcs a right hand over the top. That blow doesn't achieve the same effect that it did back in rounds 2, 3, and 4. Both fighters looking a little weary as round 8 comes to a close. Bowe the more active, at least for the moment, but then Donald wound things up with a left and a right.
Guys, fading fast. Fading fast. I want you to keep after him with that jab and go to the body with that right hand, then follow with your left hook. If you get the right hand in the head, he'll eventually come back to you. Now,
We got to pick it up. I want you to pick it up. Hey, you got all his hands, all his fists. Use it. Use your hands first, son. Don't just kill grounding him. When you charge him, you have to be on the left or right hand, but a few times. He walks from into your right hand. Okay? Let him walk into your right hand, Larry. Come on, go to him. Okay. Come on, you got to pick it up. You want to fight? You want to fight, you got to act like it. You got to act like you want it now. You want to go get it, you got to go get it. So you pick it up.
So far, Riddick Bowe hasn't looked like the best heavyweight in the world. It's hard to look like that against Donald, but if Donald becomes aggressive, we might see something happen.
Yeah, but for entertainment value as heavyweight fights go, Larry, we got to say it. Moore or Foreman, it ain't. Holyfield Bowe, it ain't. It's just Bowe Donald. That's what it is.
Well, it's also Donald's Bowe because the way Donald's fighting, it's not designed for high drama.
Donald hits him with the back of the hand, and Mills Lane says, no, we don't throw backhand punches here. We don't slap. Bowe able to land a jab. Donald ties him up.
If Bowe would once fake his right hand and come back with a left hook, he can get that elusive knockdown he's been searching for.
Take the right hand, come back with the left hook. Huh?
Right. Donald has prepared to dive forward with his left shoulder, and he leaves himself wide open for a hook.
Now, should this follow off the jab? Should it be?
No,
jab,
you don't need a jab.
Hook, don't need a jab. Just
Don't need a jab.
Make the right hand leave.
Fake the right hand leave. He'll drop for it, and you come back with your quick hook, not powerful, just quick.
But you know, George, it's awfully hard to fight a guy who's moving like this. For a big man like Bowe, it's like almost like he's trying to catch up to him.
He did come back with the hook this time. So he has it in mind, but he's got to take all the power off of the right hand Bowe has to. It has to be done without any power on the right hand.
Bowe still right hand conscious. He slipped the left hook in there for a second, but loaded up the right hand and tried to throw it for heavy leather.
The knockout, I believe, could really be there for Riddick Bowe if he just takes his time and go about it methodically. Do a lot of thinking. Donald's having a lot of trouble with his right eye.
Swinging overhand right lands for Bowe. He's had a pretty good round here.
What's the head? Come on.
But Larry Donald has begun to look as ineffective as he was in the first 3 rounds.
Because of that right eye, he's starting to protect it right. And Bowe can see that. He smells it.
Now the crowd chants for Bowe. You have the impression some of the people who were earlier chanting for Donald may now be chanting for Bowe.
Now, Donald has to have a good corner now. Work on that eye.
They've got to work on his spirit, George, because it seems right now that he's given up. He's in there, but he's not in there.
Rinse him out. Get him in there exchange and get you uppercut on life. Get him in there exchange and let you uppercut on. That's the way you got to win it, man. That's the way you got to win it. You got to get him out.
Keep baiting and sticking and keep pressing. Keep the pressure all the time. Now, when he's running in the grab, he comes in low.
Uppercut.
Yeah, step back and uppercut. Okay. Man, you see him start in low like that?
All around you put in. Come on. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Here, hip hop. Now, come on now. You put out too much time. Pick it up. Come on. Come on, lad. Come on. Open.
3 rounds to go. George, do you see a scenario by which Donald could win the fight?
That's right. Bowe is getting a bit overconfident because he's been closing that right eye more and more. Make him come to you and throw that right hand with all your might. You'll drop Bowe and turn things around.
This is like the 4th quarter of a football game, and you're down by 10 points. You got to make something happen.
That good left jab by Riddick Bowe again.
Donald lands a jab. Bowe misses. I don't know, George. You may see a way that Bowe could be damaged by Donald's right hand, but at this moment, the thought of Donald knocking him down is so foreign to me. I mean, it just strikes me as totally out of the question the way he's
It has to come when Riddick Bowe is charging him. You actually knock yourself down. You make him do it by going, attacking him and backing away. It can be done easily.
There's a right hand landing for Donald.
It almost happened then.
All right, I'll hold my tongue a little bit.
All right, let him go. Let him go with it. Let him go.
You see, boxing is the sport of self-defense. The more defenseless you are, the greater you become in that ring. That body punch by Riddick Bowe hurt Donald. That left hook could have been the winning punch for Riddick Bowe. He didn't throw it.
He didn't throw it. Donald holding on again.
He landed a clean right hand in there, but if that didn't do any damage, I don't know if he has it in him to do any damage.
Bowe is in trouble, and Donald do not believe it.
Bowe's in trouble.
Bowe is in trouble. Donald does not know it, nor does he believe it.
How can you tell, George?
Watch his face. It's all in the face.
Well, maybe the crowd can incite Donald to do something.
A good body punch by Riddick Bowe to the chest. That hurt.
And there's the left jab straight on the chin.
Hey, don't
Donald holding
Don't
again and
come on, here we
seeming
go.
to give away some of his balance in there.
Riddick Bowe is starting to use the left hook now. He had not done this all night.
Let him go in there. Come on.
That left hook starts working for Riddick Bowe. We're going to see a knockout.
Let him go. Let him go. Come on.
Or maybe not.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Keep pressing this guy. Don't stop and let him take shots at you like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's not smart. Keep him backing up. Don't let him lead you at any time.
All right.
Keep it back here. Right there.
When you're dancing the way Donald is, it's hard to get down and really plant and land. Bowe laughs, looks at his corner, and says, "Look what he did," contemptuously.
Because it hurt.
We got to stay still. We got to stay still. Let him slip. Slip and fire him, okay? Come on, go get it, lad. Pick it up. Come on, lad. You work too hard.
Well, Larry Donald ought to have plenty left. Through 10 rounds, he's been throwing an average of 20 punches per round. You think they'll cut his paycheck for that?
Harold,
Come on, Riddick.
quickly, your scorecard.
Larry, 97-93, 7 rounds to 3. Riddick Bowe through rounds 5, 6, and 7. I thought Larry Donald did enough with beautiful ring generalship and landed good shots. But after that, Riddick Bowe just took command of the fight. I think Larry Donald's winning the Heisman, but Riddick Bowe's landing the harder shots.
Come on.
Yeah, he may finish the evening with 2,000 plus yards here.
Come on, with the back.
Running.
If only Donald believed in himself. That's what experience takes.
You know, a few months ago when he fought Burt Cooper, George, he threw an average of 77 punches per round. He's thrown exactly 1/4 as many as that tonight.
Well, you go into training camp and everybody's telling you you're fighting a hard puncher, stay away from his power. And in reality, he's not fighting the hardest puncher in the world.
I'm not sure Bowe's a harder puncher than Burt Cooper.
But he's been convinced that during training. And it's hard for him now to re-indoctrinate himself and say, oh, no, he can't hit. And go and get him. Yep. I take that back. Bowe can hit.
Right now, I'm glad it isn't a 20-foot ring.
No. Can we see a 12-foot ring?
It's the hands for the workout. You get back, guys. Let's get back. Both of them. Here we go. Come on.
Bowe is getting the feints in, but he's not doing anything after.
So you're telling me the judges are going to have to score the feints?
Good right hand, the best one, and the left hook behind it. He does that 2 or 3 times. Goodbye, Donald.
Larry Donald with his mouth wide open.
And his right eye half closed.
Out of gas with 54 seconds to go in the 11th round.
no one in Donald's corner is applying that thing to his eye.
I got to hand it to you, George. Bowe has decided to adopt your strategy of straight right and then left hook.
He does that a couple of times.
Just get back, you guys. Come here.
He's got it.
But he hasn't yet decided to simply feint with the right and go ahead and throw that left hook the way you say he should.
He still hasn't landed a left hook the way he did on Monday.
You got to understand, for Donald, this is a victory just going this many rounds with this world-renowned fighter.
You think so?
Yes. He's doing something he didn't think he could do anyway.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to do anything for Donald's career?
Oh, certainly. He'll be back and know what to do with that right hand.
Time will tell.
How it feel? It feels pretty good. Larry, 12. Huh? Can you give me a hard 3 minutes? That's right. All right. I want you to get him out of there. So you got enough strength? You got enough? Yeah. Finish him real hard. Big, man, big, okay? Show him what you made of. Come on, man. Okay. Come on.
I don't care what he does. Don't you stop in the ring and do nothing. I want you to keep working all the time.
Okay. He wants you to work 3 minutes now. Don't stand still and lose any lax of memory. You do not see those guys from the last shot, okay? Keep stay busy. Put him up. All right. Oh, get him.
Crowd cheers for the 12th round. Maybe because there are 2 bouts left on the card yet to take place.
I noticed Donald started to touch gloves, but he moved out of the way. He was not going to trust Riddick Bowe.
Now that tucked in gloves is dangerous.
Especially with Riddick Bowe, he thinks.
Well, interesting to know what's on Donald's mind. Does he actually think he's got a chance to win the fight by doing this? Highly unlikely.
At this point, I think he's going to protect himself. Hit Bowe with a right hand, make the crowd say, oh, he can come back.
This can only help Larry Donald if it moves his management team and his trainer into where he has to go from here, what he has to improve. It gives them the yardstick against a top fighter, and maybe they can go on from there.
What does it do for Riddick Bowe, George? The 12 rounds of action chasing a totally defensively oriented fighter good for him?
I think it's going to help him physically. Now he's in shape. Nobody can take that from him.
Except him.
It's not going to help him with the fanfare. He's going to have to go out and win his fans back by getting some knockouts. He can still do that now.
Donald countering over the top of the right hand, and then he lands the right hand.
Every time he throws his right hand, he hurts Riddick Bowe. It doesn't make him pay for it next time.
Donald as he turned his back on Bowe, but he got away. Hard left hand from Bowe.
Bowe tripped him. He thought he was coming with a straight right hand, and he looped it.
Uppercut snaps Donald's head back. Bowe trying to beat Donald to the spot. Hard right hand. Donald in trouble. Almost a minute to go. Let's see if Bowe knows how to finish it. Larry Donald says he's never been knocked down in a pro or amateur bout. Maybe because he knows how to hold on. But for about 15 seconds there, Donald was in his most trouble of the evening. His legs are still very wobbly, George.
The bell can save him in the last round, I heard. I don't know.
That is correct. Last round only. Donald can be saved by the bell. And because of his effective penchant for holding on, it looks like he's going to make it out of the round.
It's because Bowe can only throw 4 punches before he has to take a break himself.
We've been watching the last 2 American super heavyweight Olympic prize fighters. Riddick Bowe had a professional style. Larry Donald has an amateur style. The professional won the fight.
All right, as Larry prepares to go up into the ring to conduct the post-fight interviews, here, George, a look at that combination by Riddick Bowe that put Larry Donald momentarily on Queer Street.
Donald's doing all the holding that he possibly can, and let me tell you, it was the left jab that started everything. Almost snaps his neck out of the ring. Riddick Bowe did not use the left jab enough, but tonight in the last round, he decided to try it.
And there you see Donald beginning to hold on, which he did for most of the last minute of the fight.
This is a guy does not want to be knocked down.
Hello, Riddick. Harold, show us your final scorecard for this
Jim,
fight.
117, 111, 9 rounds to 3, Riddick Bowe. When you got a fight between a puncher and a boxer, the boxer better be scoring some punches to win the fight, otherwise he ain't going to win. Larry Donald ran away all night. All he did was run. There was absolutely no question that Riddick Bowe outpunched him.
You give him the Heisman, or you take it away because of lack of opposition?
He beats out Rashawn Salam. He's got it.
He definitely gained more yards. Right now, let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the fans here at the Sports Pavilion, stick around, more boxing to go. But here at Caesar's Palace, we go to the scorecards. Art Laurie scores the bell, 118 to 109. Bill Graham has it, 118 to 110. And Dalby Shirley scores it, 120 to 108. For the winner by unanimous decision, former heavyweight world champion Riddick Big Daddy Bowe.
And Riddick Bowe chatting with men who have vilified him mercilessly all week long. Co-managers Steve Nelson and Robert Middleman of Larry Donald. You wouldn't have thought that those three guys would ever stand and chat together. And then Bowe goes back to Rock Newman to tell him what Nelson and Middleman had to say. Final punch stat numbers. And the punch stat numbers for Larry Donald are going to be pathetic. There's no other way to describe it. 219 punches thrown in 12 rounds. That is, as you do the math quickly, you can tell less than 20 punches per round attempted by Larry Donald, and he landed less than 10 punches per round. And those numbers, not all that overwhelming, but certainly good enough to have shown up on the scorecards in the lopsided unanimous decision. Total jabs, and Bowe landed more than half of his. Maybe Donald should have tried a few more. Let's go to Larry Merchant with the former heavyweight champion of the world, Riddick Bowe.
Riddick, congratulations. Was it a harder fight than you thought it would be?
Well, Larry was more elusive than I anticipated, but I needed to work. I got to work, and Larry has a lot to learn, and when he learns these things, he's going to be okay. Also, I would like to give a sincere apology to what happened the other day, Monday, because that's not me, and I want to apologize to Larry, and I don't want the kids out there who look up to Riddick Bowe to do things like that.
Have you been losing sleep over it? Has it been something that's been bothering you all week, because it's come up almost every minute of every discussion?
Somewhat, and then, you get by yourself, you think, and you realize that is wrong. It was wrong.
I think that everybody is glad that you finally did make an apology. What was the most difficult part of this fight for you? Did he lull you a little bit and then come on in the middle rounds?
No, I think Larry was doing a lot of movement, and I just wanted to, take my time with Larry. And Larry isn't the type of guy that you want to look good against if you're constantly chasing him. So me and Pop Smirk just decided to, take our time and place our shots, and I think that got him winded and took a lot out of him.
Give us your thoughts then on where you were apparently shut out for reasons that you have no control over to a direct path back to the heavyweight championship.
Well, politics plays a big part in whatever. And these guys know I have no ties to them, such as Don King, Marvin Ram, the Duvers, and so forth. And me and Rock and Renegades, we're by ourselves. And if they can't get a part of the money, I mean, they cahoots together, and they try to keep you out of the picture.
And we're going to win anyhow.
So we understand that your plans are next to fight someone named Herbie Hyde, who's an undefeated British fighter who holds a WBO crown that nobody thinks much of. What is the purpose of that, and is that what the plan is?
They can say what they want about the WBO, but the WBO is a championship. And I figure if I get the WBO title, I can do just as Larry Holmes did with the IBF. I can bring legitimacy to that division.
Is it taking longer than you thought it would be to get back? After all, you've had one defeat, a very close defeat to a terrific fighter, and you seem to have great difficulty getting back in the picture.
Well, I'm somewhat frustrated, but you know what? Good things come to those who wait. And I'm yet still young, 27, and before you know it, they're going to have to, come to me if they want, they want to make money. Hi, Mom. Hi, Jerry. Rhodesia. Daddy loves you. Be home soon.
Thank you, Riddick. Back to ringside.
All right, thanks very much, Larry. Larry Donald, incidentally, left the ring, so we'll have no interview with him. He knows that if he sticks around in the ring, that's his way of getting interviewed, so obviously that wasn't a priority for him. Hard to imagine what he might have said. I'm a boxing fan, George. I thought that was miserable, pathetic, barely worth watching. You gonna argue with me?
Major victory for Donald. He went 12 rounds with a former heavyweight champ of the world and stunned him every now and then. A major victory.
So you think that improves Donald's career prospects from here on out?
Once he perfects this style that he has, he can be heavyweight champ of the world, but he just doesn't know what he can do.
Let's talk business for a second. What would it take for Riddick Bowe to make your list of potential opponents?
An earthquake.
An earthquake that wipes out every other potential heavyweight contender, is that right? I hear you, and that's one of the reasons that, as you heard, Bowe may be intending to go after the WBO title, which is held by Herbie Hyde. Some people have the theory that the fighter can legitimize the title via his own identity. If Riddick Bowe wins the WBO World Heavyweight Championship, does that make that title important?
No, I was joking that IBF and the WBA, they control what I do. I have no control on who I fight.
Yeah, you got to fight against mandatory contenders.
They tell you who to fight. You don't just say who you can't fight.
Up to a point, George. Up to a point. Once you fight a mandatory, then you have a period of time in which you don't have to fight against a guy who's on that contender list.
I'll fight Riddick Bowe tomorrow.
I don't think so. Larry, welcome back. Your thoughts on what you saw between Riddick Bowe and Larry Donald?
Well, I think I expressed most of those thoughts, but as far as being able to legitimize the WBO, what you have to remember is that Larry Holmes had about...
Give me George. I want you, George. I want George. I beg. George, listen. George, you can have all the money, George. Just fight me, George. Fight me, please, George.
You heard that, didn't you?
You can have all the money. All the money. Just give me. I just want to be champ.
I asked him what it would take for you to make his list of
I'm going to come out in public and say,
George want money. George,
no
can have
way,
all the money. Just give me a shot, George. Please, George. I beg of you, George.
Okay.
This discussion to continue later elsewhere.
All right. Or as Spike Lee would say, please, baby, please, baby, 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 please. As I was saying,
do the right thing.
Larry Holmes was the heavyweight champion and had defended the title about 20 times when he went over to the IBF. That's why he legitimatized it. But as a non-champion, you can't legitimatize an outlaw body as the champion. Be that as it may, I have to tell you folks, much of the night I've been thinking of Courage Shabalala. Now, you may never have heard of him, and I expect someday you will. Courage Shabalala is a 21-year-old, 6'3" 230-pound heavyweight, a Zulu from South Africa. He had 72 amateur fights, won 71 one-round knockouts, knocked the other guy out in a round, but was disqualified. He's had 9 or 10 professional fights. He's also won all of those fights by one-round knockout. He's the most exciting, very young heavyweight I've seen since the young Mike Tyson. And I can't wait to see more of him, which is my commentary on tonight's fight.
Incidentally, Larry's introduction of Courage Shabalala as a figure in the division has been brewing for months, and we'll send him out of here now as a very happy man tonight. All right, Larry, congratulations. You did what you wanted to do. This is our last HBO World Championship boxing telecast of the year, and in light of that, we wanted to sort of sum things up for the year with a look